All right, CNT125 Firewall Security Lab. We just got done in the last podcast configuring the switch here with our VLANs and trunk, and then the router up here with our sub interfaces for each VLAN. And we also configured it for NAT, so it will move traffic outside of our network. And that's the last part we did down here, configuring NAT and the access list to allow that to occur. So what we need to do next is I've actually, according to my map, set my two workstations down here to what I was planning on using. So if I go in here, I look at I set my IP subnet mask, make sure the gateway is correct, should be pointing to that sub interface and DNS of 10.10.10.2. And then I just did a test ping to 192.168. 128.1, my default gateway, or the sub interface on the router, works fine. And same thing on this guy. Set its IP, subnet mask gateway, DNS server, ping here to my 192.168.192.1. Oh my goodness. Helps if I type a little bit better, 192.1. There we go, and there's that gateway. So make sure those are set and make sure those are functioning. If I'm not getting a ping to my default gateway, start troubleshooting. Looking for your typos, looking for your errors, and fixing those. Okay. Now that that works, I'm going to browse to my website. That should work. So I should be able to browse to www.cnt.org. That should work. It works on this guy. And it works on, or should work on this guy as well, www.cnt.org. Good. So we have our IP settings, our gateway's correct, and we're pinging and browsing. I should have no problem doing that. What we want to do now is test a couple different protocol traffics, FTP, Telnet, SSH kind of thing, and see if all of these are functioning as they should. And we're really just going to issue sessions to our FTP server, our Telnet server, our SSH server, and make sure all these kind of things are working. All right, so with my FTP, I'm going to pick one of my PCs here, and I'm going to ping that FTP server, ping, and it's 10.10.10.4. That's this guy over here, 10.10.10.4, and I should get a response, so I know the connection is there. And if I ping the name of it, ftp.cnt.org. There we go. I have to get the right name there. That should work, and it does. And I should be able to open a test session to it. So I should be able to do FTP to ftp.cnt.org. And this session should work. Username of test, password of password. Again, type with confidence there. The cursor won't move. Do a directory, and everything works. So we know FTP traffic is working. Let's try the same kind of thing with Telnet here. Okay, so here I will do a ping to our Telnet of 10.10.10.5. That's our Telnet. I have a router set up to receive Telnet. And I should be able to ping telnet.cnt.org. It should resolve that name for you as well. I'll now open my Telnet session here, down here, and I will select Telnet 10.10.10.5, and I should be able to connect to it. Username on this guy again is test. Password, again, type with confidence. Cursor's not going to move. Enable class is the password. And I should be able to do things like show run on this router and see the router config, remotely connecting to it. I should be able to do an exit here. Actually, I should be able to just do this and close it out. Do I want to continue the session? No, I don't. Actually, I want to close the session. There you go. So that works. And I should also be able to do SSH, same thing. I should be able to ping 10.10.10.5, and I should be able to ping ssh.cnt.org. And that works, and I should be able to open an SSH session. So I'll come down here to my client, 10.10.10.5, username test. When I connect, password is password. Again, type with confidence. Cursor's not going to move. Class is the password after I do enable. I should be able to show run. And again, I'll close this guy out. So what we're seeing is our router network here, the VLANs are working, sub interface is working, NAT is working. All this is functioning and getting us full connectivity to the ISP. We're able to browse, we're able to ping, we're able to ping by name so we know DNS is working. We're able to FTP to FTP server, we're able to Telnet and SSH over here. So all of our protocol traffic is working. And really, if I were to repeat this on either PC, it would work as well. So we have a fully functioning network. What we're going to do now is we are going to set up some rules on the router to limit this traffic. So to do that, I'm going to put a very specific access list on the router to filter traffic. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to write a rule to filter the visitor traffic, but not the staff or employee traffic over here. So we're going to limit this VLAN 20 traffic for the visitor, but not for the employee. And that's when we first set up our sub-interfaces, our VLANs and sub-interfaces up here for inter-VLAN routing. Because we have separated them, I can now treat them individually. I'm going to write a set of rules that limits this traffic, but not this one. That's what we're getting at. So to do that, I'm going to connect into my router, and I'm going to put an access list on it. So I'm going to do Cisco enable class. That'll get me in. Once I'm in, I'm going to create a access list, a specific access list. This is what's called an extended access list. We're going to use the number 101. If I use a number like 123, that's a basic access list. It's able to do basic permit and deny. We're going to do an extended access list using a number 101. Starts at 100 and goes up, so we'll use 101. And we're going to be able to permit or deny very specific things, in this case by TCP port number. We're going to say specific type of port number or specific protocol traffic is going to get permitted or denied. So we're going to do access list 101, deny, get my cursor out of there, TCP, and we're going to say from a specific subnet. Well, my visitor VLAN, here's my network again, my visitor VLAN is my 192 subnet down here. So I'm going to say that we are going to 192.168 192.0 subnet, we're going to do something with it. So, oops, get my lab back here. So we're going to say that subnet, and we're going to use the inverse mask. Well, inverse 0, 0. I borrowed 2 bits. So the inverse of that is going to be 63.255. And we're going to say from this subnet, here's our syntax, we're going to say deny from this network to anywhere equal to port 20, which port 20 is the first port for FTP. So we're going to say, okay, deny from this subnet going anywhere equal to FTP. We're then going to repeat that for 21, because it's the other port you need for FTP. So those two will take care of FTP. We then also want to deny 22 for SSH, and we want to deny 23 for Telnet. So now that we've denied this stuff, we want to permit the remaining traffic through. So we're then going to say access list 101, permit, instead of deny, we're going to say permit any remaining IP traffic from anywhere to anywhere. And that'll let things like your pings and your HTTP and HTTPSs and that sort of thing out. So we have the access list created. We now need to apply it. So we're going to go to our interface, gigabit Ethernet 0/0, gigabit Ethernet 0/0/0.20 for VLAN 20. Okay, .20 for VLAN 20. We want to say this group 101, we're going to apply on the in. IP access group 101 applied on the in direction. And what that means is we're putting it here, and traffic coming into this interface is going to get filtered and stopped. Okay, that's what that means. So going back to our router, we've created the access list for these port traffics, and then we have applied it to that interface. So let's do an exit, let's do a show run, and let's see that. Here is that 101 access group in on VLAN 20, subinterface 20. And I go down here a little bit further, here is that access list 101. And you noticed it turned these into FTP and Telnet here for you. That happens. You plug a port in and it might turn it into a name. Not a big deal. It's still that traffic. So now that that's been applied, I'll do my copy run start on my router to save my router. I'll go up here and save that too, so I got it. Now we're going to do some tests. So we're now going to try to do some pings and browsings. So I'm going to jump in here on PC10, and I should be able to browse www.cnt.org. That opens a web page, yay. And let's do one or two quick tests on this guy while we're here. So let's do, this is VLAN 10. All of this should work for this PC on VLAN 10. I should be able to browse. I should be able to ping ftp.cnt.org. It's able to, and I should be able to FTP too. ftp.cnt.org. That opens, test, password, directory, works fine. So this particular PC over here in VLAN 10, that is all permitted. Let's try the same thing on VLAN 20 PC. I'm going to go to browse. I'm able to browse, no problem there. I should be able to ping. Let's ping ftp.cnt.org. I'm able to ping because I haven't denied ICMP, but I'm going to try to open ftp.cnt.org. If I can type the right thing, there we go. It's trying to connect, but the router access list is denying it, so it's not able to get through. So since we have created VLANs on here, trunked it to the router, did the some interfaces, these two are different populations, and we just put rules on the router to say filter this group, filter this VLAN, but don't filter this VLAN. So now we have denied FTP traffic. Let's try Telnet. I'll do this guy over here, VLAN 10 PC. Okay, this Telnet should work. So come over here, Telnet 10.10.10.5, connect, username test, password, and we're in. That works fine. Let's go to this PC. This should now get filtered. So let's go down here to Telnet 10.10.10.5, try to connect. It's not going to let me. That has gotten filtered. Okay. We'll close that session out. Oop, I want to close that out. There we go. And we'll do the same thing down here for SSH real quick. Okay, so I will take this guy, my VLAN 10 PC, SSH should work, 10.10.10.5, username test, connect, password, and I'm in. So SSH works for this PC here. Let's try it on this guy. SSH 10.10.10.5, username test, does not work. That is being filtered. So our access list on the router is working just as we wanted to. We'll close that session out. It is allowing all this traffic through, but filtering this traffic here. So now FTP, Telnet, SSH, all that will not work from this visitor VLAN. In real life, I would continue and add some more protocols to the list, but it gets you an idea that since we've set it up in the VLANs and set up the trunking and set up the sub-interfaces, we can now treat these populations differently, and using access lists on this router is one way to do it. Alrighty, before we go too much further, we'll save the router and switch config. So I have those for submission to D2L. So show run, space. I'll come up here and copy all this, save it to a text file, and I'll save that config to make plain text, and I'll save him as router ACL config, I think is what we're using. Save him to the desktop, and then I'll do the same thing on the switch real quick too. Cisco enable class show run, space, highlight all this guy, copy him down, and same thing, throw him in a text file for submission to D2L. Format, make plain text, paste it in there, save. We'll do switch ACL config, and then I'll have those for submission to D2L. And that'll be that part of the lab. We'll come back in the last part of the lab and do our software firewall.